Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Had the God of Speed Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, I posted a brand new series over on Anime King 3 of What If Naruto was Sinbad, with all the gems sealed inside of him. So go ahead, check out that, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. And also remember, if you're new, yes, channels down below in description, go ahead and check out them. I indeed have more than one, guys, so yeah, go ahead and enjoy those. And don't forget to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying, talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now, guys. So, the last part that we left off, they finally arrived towards the house, as Kakashi wanted to discuss that Zabuza was alive. Naruto already seemed to know that. Sasuke had to say something about it as Sakura followed up, saying that how he let that slide. She also tried to punch Naruto when he told Sasuke to shut the hell up. However, Naruto put her in her place. That is when she truly understand that this was not the same Naruto that was always goofing around in the academy. This was someone completely different entirely, and she need to watch herself, otherwise it might turn out bad for her. As Naruto did not hesitate to put Sasuke in his place whenever he mouthed off or act like he was important just because he was a Uchiha. Well, one of the last Uchihas. As Kakashi had to beg Naruto to stop antagonizing his students like that or saying such hurtful things. It turns out that Naruto had a bad history with the Uchihas. Kakashi seemed to know of it. That is why Naruto did not seem to like Sasuke. Not to mention the Uchiha was really arrogant. However, he will calm himself. So with that, they started to train for the time being. Sasuke was the only one that did not get the tree walking exercise down right away. Sai already seemed to know how to do it, as he was already high up in the tree. Sakura, because of her low chakra reserves, got it almost instantaneously. However, she needed to expand her reserves. That was what she was lacking at the moment. As Naruto started to teach Sai the other exercise as he walked on the water, Naruto ended up meeting Haku within the woods. As the both of them spoke to one another, and Naruto realized something on that day. When the day finally came, Naruto had spoken to Tsunami's son Iniri, and Iniri was able to stand up for himself, and Naruto clones were able to take care of all the enemies. They got on the bridge as Naruto told him to give him a couple of minutes, that being Kakashi. He wanted to show the hunter in something as Naruto took Haku and sped off. Arriving to where Gato was, Gato wanted to kill all of them. Yes, he was. That is what he was planning. Naruto proceeded to eliminate all the thugs in the blink of an eye. He then proceeded to take out Gato and bring his head back as well. Haku spoke to Zabuza and told him everything, who decided that they were no longer enemies after the fact. That they were going to be, well, attack after completing said mission. As Naruto already showed the head, showing that there was no longer a threat. So with that, the mission was done, and the land of Wave was safe. After all this time, they were finally safe. Yes, it was a wonderful feeling. Soon after, they started to work back on the bridge, as they quickly were able to fix it up. So with that, Haku was told by Zabuza that he won't be coming back with him. Yes, it was time that he set off, and he realized something. Accompanying him would only bring him nothing but pain. After all, the hunters and everyone that was after him. And he needed to make a change. So he wanted him to go with the Konoha ninjas. He was not a shinobi of Kiri, so there was nothing wrong there. So he could go there. As for Naruto and the others, the bridge builder and everyone came to see them off as they made their way back home towards the Hidden Leaf. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place to yourself. So see you in this new episode. The team was returning back to the Hidden Leaf as Naruto was thinking about how he was going to help Haku after he joined the Shinobi program. The old man he didn't have a problem about. However, knowing the civilian side of the council and some of the Shinobi members as well on the council, they will try to force Haku to make his own clan. And Naruto, who considered Haku to be a friend, would not allow them to force anything on Haku. However, he had an idea. If they wanted a clan, fine. They will get one. A clan that was known to be as fearsome as the whirlpools that they lived nearby. It's time that he reminded them the village alliance that they made with his mother homeland. Kakashi was watching the emotions change on Naruto's face as he asked, "What is it, Naruto?" he said, as Naruto waited until he jumped off the next branch. "You know they're going to try and force Haku to make a clan, correct?" That jerked Haku out of his thoughts as he glanced over. Kakashi nodded, yes. However, I doubt Lord Hokage would allow that. Well, I won't be taking any chances. I gave Zabuza my word that I would look after Haku. And I'll keep my promise, said Naruto. Haku smiled as he thought. Thank you, Naruto, he said. I only hope I can stand by you when your time of need comes. As Kakashi glanced towards Naruto, what exactly are you planning? A grin came on Naruto's face, a rather foxy grin. Well, if the council tries anything, I'll show them why my clan was so formidable, he said. Both Sakura and Sasuke perked up when they heard that Naruto actually came from a clan. Sakura was a bit confused. She thought that he was an orphan. What clan was he talking about? Tch. It wasn't much of a clan if I haven't heard of it, Sasuke thought, doubting that he was anything special. Kakashi noticed a look on Naruto's face. You should be careful, he said. The council can make things rather difficult for you if you anger them. That made Naruto scoff, like they haven't tried their hardest to make my life a living hell. Well, let them try. I'll send them on such a loop. It will take them months to make sense of anything that is actually going on. And I'm not talking about using my bloodline. If you do reveal their status, they might try to force you into the CRA, Clan Restoration Act. As Naruto snorted at that, as he kept on hopping. Let them try. Everyone always seemed to forget that little law is voluntary. Not even Hokage could force someone into it if he wanted to. Sasuke's eyes widened upon hearing that piece of information, since he was told that he was obligated to have more than wives so that he could repopulate the Uchiha clan. Hence, the member of Rabbit fangirls who were always over him. As Naruto could feel the conflicting emotion in Sasuke, he personally activated his sonar ability just for that. He then glanced over his shoulder. So, Uchiha, are you planning on being told to use a CRA? Probably the only way the council can get you to have some little Uchihas, since you seem to want everyone to think that you're gay or something, said Naruto. Kakashi released a breath, already knowing what was going to come. Sasuke launched himself towards the blonde as he started to attack, throwing kunais and shurikens, even the occasional fireball. However, Naruto made it look like child's play as he avoided every single one of them. Sakura was blushing from embarrassment to what Naruto had implied, and also shouting, "Get him, Sasuke," she yelled. Kakashi sighed. He spoke to Naruto about antagonizing the group, especially Sasuke, as Haku's sweat dropped at their antics. Sai had a rather calm expression on his face as he spoke. "I do not see why they need to put Dickless in the CRA. It wouldn't matter how many women he get married with. After all, he wouldn't have the proper tools that is needed to create a clan." A dark menacing aura Sai could feel behind him as Kakashi glanced over his shoulder to see the very pissed off Sakura. "Sai," she said, as she launched herself towards the pale boy. Sai sped off, dodging all of her attacks as she tried to kill the root operator. Haku turned towards Kakashi and looked towards him, who seemed really just tired. "I'm going to have to get used to this, aren't I?" he asked. "I'm afraid so. Although, it won't happen too often because Naruto is not a part of Team 7, as a massive fireball could be seen up ahead, followed by Naruto shouting, "Hey Sasuke, I think I felt the breeze that time," as it was followed by Sasuke screaming in rage. Kakashi sighed once again as they headed off. Time skip the hidden leaf. Izumo and Kitetsu were on gate duty guard once again when Naruto and Sai landed right down in front of the gates, shortly followed by a tired Sasuke and Sakura, who was trying to keep up. "So, did you two enjoy your exercise?" Naruto asked, as Kakashi and Haku followed suit. "I'm going to kill you, dead lass." Very slowly and very painfully, Sasuke groaned it out as he was panting. He was too tired to attack the blonde, but his words should do just fine for now. Sai, on the other hand, he did not hold back. "You know, flat chest, I'm surprised that you can actually be a ninja. I would have thought that an abnormally forehead such as yours would have made it quite impossible for your balance." And Dickless seemed to be missing his tools. Perhaps that is a part of the reason why he has no stamina whatsoever. How he will survive in bed to repopulate a clan is beyond me. Sakura wanted to pummel him into the ground. "Sai, when I get my hands on you, not even the tracking teams will be able to find you," she said. However, she was too exhausted, much like Sasuke. Kakashi placed a hand on the two exhausted Genin's shoulders. Now, he said, "let's not fight now that we're home." As Haku was wondering to himself, "What have I got myself into?" he thought, as Naruto walked over towards the booth. Team 7 and Jonin Naruto Uzumaki returning back from the mission to Land of Wave with possible new recruit, Mamakai Haku, he said. Haku snapped his attention towards Naruto rather quickly, hearing that, as Kakashi was the one to speak, Zabuza asked that you take his name when you join us. As Haku was trying to work out what he felt from that revelation, Naruto was speaking to the two gate guards, as they wanted to know what did Naruto say to the Uchiha. Because Sasuke was glaring so hard at Naruto's head, it seems like he was imagining it exploding. The two also find it funny as well, as Sasuke snapped his gaze towards them. He grunted and walked by. He was really pissed off, it seems. Time skip. Hokage's office. The others were not needed for this. That is why Naruto decided to just bring Kakashi and Haku alone. A moment, no one was standing there. The next moment, Naruto was in the office. However, Hirashin knew that he was coming because he felt the chakra. He just could not see until he arrived. Kakashi shook his head as he took a breath. "I truly hate it when you do that, you know that, right?" Agreed, Haku said. It was truly uncomfortable for the first few seconds up to a minute. As they realigned themselves, Hirashin smiled, glad to see that they were back. Before anything though, he wanted to hear the mission report, so they spoke about it. Hirashin scratched his chin as he looked towards Haku. "So Zabuza asked you to bring his apprentice to join our ranks," he said, looking towards Haku who stood there. Hirashin looked over the boy. If this was someone else, we wouldn't have a problem with it. However, given the man's history, Naruto stepped in and spoke. Hokage-sama, he said, as he spoke on a serious level. What is the one thing that you said was my greatest strength? Given that Naruto called him by the title, it seems like he was serious about this. Your ability to judge people. As Hirashin looked over Haku once again. Very well, he said. He will accept Haku in the ranks. However, Naruto will take responsibility for anything that happened. And there is a probational period as well, to watch over him and watch what he does. Do you understand me? He said. Crystal clear, sir, said Naruto. Hirashin now want to know more about Haku, about this special bloodline of his. It was like an interview. My bloodline allowed me to mix water and wind nature into ice, natural chakra. I know various D to B rank water jutsus, but I primarily focus on ice release jutsus. Haku told the Hokage what he needed to. If this was going to be his home, he had to be straightforward, and they also had to judge his skills to find out where to put him. I see, Hirashin said. As this was more than he expected, with the bloodline, there will be a future problem. You mean with the council, trying to get me to form a clan, Haku said. Hirashin nodded his head, surprised how quickly the boy catch on. However, Naruto stepped in to save the day. Hokage-sama, he said, as heir to the Uzumaki clan, I recommend Haku Mamakai to be placed under clan guardianship. Sarutobi gaze snapped over towards Naruto rather quickly. Naruto, he said, we have discussed what announcing your status might cause. As Naruto nodded in affirmative. I know, it will only give me more grief from the council, but I won't allow them to turn Haku into a breeding stock. Not even the Uchiha deserve that fate to have someone take the right of control from them. And if they try to force it upon me, well, I'll tell them to go and shove it up their butts. I've taken a lot of crap from those people, but this is one thing that they will not decide. And that's a promise, said Naruto. After all, if they can, let them try and force him and see what will happen. Oh, they will find out. Sarutobi saw the gaze in Naruto's eyes. It reminded him of the one that he saw when he told him about his parents. All those years ago, he knew that this was something that he would not budge on. He released a breath. Very well, he said, as he placed Haku Mamakai under the protection of the Uzumaki clan until further action can be taken. All decision that is made must be brought to the head of the Uzumaki clan before they can be approved. As such, it also falls upon Naruto to making sure that his needs are taken care of. And given the fact that Naruto was a Jonin who Hirashin was allowing to take more experience, he can take Haku on as his partner on missions. Is that acceptable? As Naruto nodded, Hirashin knew that this was going to spark an uproar. However, he also knew Naruto, and he knew that this was something that he would not bat down upon. Yes, he knew that much. Time skip. As both Naruto and Haku were walking, Haku massaged his temples. Are all things that related to politics? Are they like that, he asked. Nah, some are much worse, said Naruto, causing Haku to pale. As they made their way, Haku had a smile on his face though. Thank you, he said, for everything. Naruto glanced over towards him with a smile. Don't mention it, Haku, he said. After all, you're my friend, and I make it a point to make sure nothing happened to my friends, if I can do anything about it. Now come on, we got a tour to go on, then I'll show you where your apartment will be. Haku was confused by that, but the Hokage did not say where I would be staying, he said. Oh, don't worry, he didn't have to, said Naruto. If you remember correctly, he said, it falls upon me to make sure that your needs are taken care of, which includes living. Luckily, the apartment next door to mine is rather empty. I'm sure Mr. Argus wouldn't mind you moving in. He and the rest of the neighbors are rather agreeable people. Haku nodded. I'm glad to hear that, he said. Some of the people that I and Zabuza-sama rumored over the years haven't been the best of neighbors at times. As Naruto chuckled at that, I suppose, he said. However, I'm sure, as long as you're not shaking the building with any loud music, the others would be okay with you. That caused Haku to smile. But first thing first, said Naruto as he looked toward his stomach. Let's get something to eat. The next day, Naruto hated to be right. Well, hate was a strong word, but it was exactly as he said. As he stood in front of the council, Haku was beside him as he knew that this would come. After getting Haku the apartment yesterday, after him moving in, it wasn't too long before they were called to meet at the council chambers. And the both of them made their way there. Naruto already had everything planned out. He knew exactly what he was gonna do, so let them try as they might. As the both of them approached the doors, unless I say otherwise, let me do all the talking, said Naruto. As Haku nodded, he wasn't someone of politics, but neither was Naruto, but Naruto already had a way how to deal with these people, so he was just going to remain quiet until he was authorized to say something. As Naruto pushed open the door, it banged against the wall. Alright people, let's get this waste of time over. Between the clowns and the people who actually do something. Haku was surprised by Naruto's bold statement. It is not usual that someone would speak to someone in such high authority of power, especially when you were just a ninja. Having the mindset that ninjas were tools to be used by the leader and, well, the people of higher power, Haku was surprised by Naruto's speech as he just strolled in and spoke to the people like that without a care in the world, not to mention the confident smirk on his face, to show that he really did not give a damn about what they think or say. The civilian side who ran the day-to-day things that were going on within the village were giving him dead glares. However, Haku could tell that Naruto did not give a damn in the slightest. Hirashin did not seem surprised in the slightest at Naruto's tone. Alright, now that everyone is here, we can begin. We were discussing the possibilities of Haku Mamakai being eligible for the CRA, Hirashin said. Now hold on, one of the civilians said, getting up. What is the brat doing here? This does not concern him one bit. Oh, but it does. Because you see, as a clan heir for the Uzumaki clan, Haku is under my protection, therefore, no decision can be made without I being present. The whole room was silent. What? The place went up in an uproar. Hirashin knew that this would happen. He expected this. What the hell are you speaking about, brat? You don't have a clan. One of the other nastier civilians spoke up. As Naruto snorted. So I am to assume that the spiral on the village Chonin and Jonin jacket is some other village that Konoha has an alliance with, other than the Hidden World Pool village that is the home of the Uzumakis where my mother was a part of. Or have you maniacs forgot? That is because of the Uzumakis who has been holding back the Kyuubi, including my mother and myself, for 3 generations now. Why? This village has not been wiped off the map. Or have you people forgotten what the Uzumaki status was within this village? Well, if you have, let me remind you. It was my great-grand aunt, Mito Uzumaki, who was the wife of the first Hokage. Haku was shocked to what Naruto just said. However, more so for the civilians and several people of the shinobi clans that did not know. The room was completely quiet after Naruto spoke, but he was not completely finished yet. All the few people seemed to forget that I was chosen for the Kyuubi container for a reason. We Uzumakis are the only ones that can contain the full might of the 9 tails. And yet you constantly mix me up with a damn fox and try your darnest to make my life a goddamn hell. But things are different now because as of now, I, Naruto Uzumaki, has declared that the Uzumaki clan will be properly secured and reclaimed as a part of the council. And I will reclaim My counsel seeks, said Naruto. That statement triggered another uproar, as the people eventually quieted down as they realized that he was not listening or hearing what they were saying because they were not important. That is when someone actually important spoke up. Well, to a degree. Am I assuming that this means you will partake in the clan restoration act? It was Danzo that spoke. Hell no, said Naruto. You guys seem to have forgotten that. That is completely voluntary. There is no way I will be forced into any political marriage, and anyone that allow that to be done to them, I think is truly insane. Now, if you will excuse me, I have actual important things to do. Then discuss this nonsense with you people, said Naruto, looking towards the civilian side. He turned towards Hirashin. That was all that they were here to discuss, as he quickly adjourned the meeting. It was over. Time skip. The both of them reappear near the training ground. Haku was still unable to completely get over the sensation of being moving so fast, as he was able to calm himself down though. That was rather interesting how you handle that situation, Naruto-sama, he said. Well, hopefully they won't try to bother us for a few more days with other crap. And what have I told you about being formal? It's just Naruto. Haku nodded sheepishly. So, what you said back there was true. That you're related to the first Hokage's wife and contained in the most powerful Biju. Yep, said Naruto. Now come on, he said. I want to see how fast you can go with that strongest technique of yours. You know, the one with the mirrors, he said. Time skip. A week went by rather quickly after the meeting. Well, it wasn't much of a meeting, just Naruto laying down the law. Naruto had tested Haku, allowing Haku to go all out, just to see what he was truly made of. And Haku did not stand a chance. His special technique relies on his speed, so he's gonna have to increase his speed, because as of now, well, Naruto was incredibly fast, but he wanted to make sure that Haku was prepared for anyone that he had to face. As his loss to Naruto showed him that he's gonna have to up his speed a bit more, because Naruto was fast but he was still holding back. So the first thing that he did was apply gravity seals to him, which would increase his speed over time. And the mirror was lacking a certain weakness department. It had to be able to cover a wider range and not just a dome, because once a person got outside, the technique wasn't as effective as it was. The problem was the technique feed heavily off of Haku's chakra reserves. To solve that problem, Naruto had him use it as often as he could. He also taught Haku the Shadow Clone Jutsu as well. Haku could only make one clone and still do something. However, that would still help him increase his reserves. And with him making a clone, Naruto can teach him more than once. Not to mention Haku helping him with water manipulation, so vice versa. By the end of the week, after some intense training from Naruto's part and Haku being able to keep up as much as he could, he was able to extend the reach and the time frame of his jutsu without running out so quickly. Now the both of them were testing how long Haku could travel through the mirrors before he ran out of chakra, as they were doing laps around the mountain. As they were coming up on the training spot to come to a stop, Naruto noticed there was an envoy waiting there. As he landed, Haku phased through the mirror a moment later, as Naruto walked up to said envoy, who spoke to him. Hokage-sama wishes to speak to you and your partner, he said. As Naruto nodded, the envoy vanished. Naruto gave Haku a nod before he blurred away. The next moment, Haku was gone. Haku stable himself. It still took him a moment to get used to that. It didn't matter how much time Naruto did it, as he took a breath before shaking his head. You wanted to see us, old man, said Naruto. I did, Hirashin said. I just assigned Team 8 their first C-rank mission. It's a standard bandit raid for a village 2 days out. Due to what happened on Team 7 first mission, I decided whenever a newly freshly promoted team is going to be sent out, at least someone of Chunin rank shall accompany them. Given the speed the both of you possess, you two should be able to prevent anything from going off the rail while Team 8 complete their mission. Team 8 will be expecting you at the gates in 30 minutes. With that, Naruto nodded as he took the scroll. Time skip. At the gate, Kiba folded his arms. I still don't believe we need these guys. We don't need any babysitters. Kurenai sighed for what seemed to be the 10th time. I told you, Kiba. After what happened with Team 7, the Hokage just doesn't want to take any chances with our less experienced Genins. Kiba frowned hearing that. So they ran into trouble, so what? It doesn't mean that we will, he said. Shino was the one to speak after him. Even if that is true, it is better to be prepared if things goes wrong. Which, considering our mission, it's more than possible than any other C ranks that anyone could have been assigned. You know, Inuzaka, you should listen to your teammate. You never know when things would spiral out of control. Team 8 glanced over as they saw Naruto walking with someone that they had never seen before. Hinata got sad as she thought that Naruto had found someone besides her. As Naruto walked over towards them, Kurenai, he said, it's good to be working with you again. Likewise, Uzumaki, she said, with a small smile. She glanced over towards Haku. Oh, where are my manners, he said. Allow me to introduce you to Haku Mamakai, my partner, Haku. This is Kurenai Yui, the Hidden Leaf Genjutsu Mistress, he said, and her team, Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aberami, and Kiba Inuzaka. As Shino and Hinata nodded, Haku returned the favor. Kiba, of course, decided to flirt with Haku in his undefined way. As he thought that Haku was a girl, he walked over. Hey there, I haven't seen you around here before. How about after the mission we get something to eat? Naruto started to laugh as Kiba snapped his gaze towards him. What's so funny, he said, thinking that Naruto believed that he had no chance. You do realize that Haku is a boy, correct? Kiba's eyes widened as he stepped back, in complete shock. Haku started to laugh as Kiba's mouth was wide open, splattering. Hinata released a sigh of relief, as Shino did not make a comment. Kurenai, on the other hand, was surprised by the last name, Mamakai. You wouldn't be related to Zabuza Mamakai, she said, giving him a look. Haku shook his head. Not by blood. However, I was his apprentice before. He requested Naruto-san and Kakashi-san to take me back to the Leaf as he finished his mission in the wave. He requested I take up his last name when I joined the village ranks. Kurenai nodded. I see. Well then, now that introductions are out of the way, I believe that we should get going. Kiba didn't seem to like that. Don't worry, Inuzaka. You won't even notice that we're there, unless something out of the ordinary happens, said Naruto. With that, him and Haku both vanished. Kiba looked around. Where did they go? As Kurenai told her team to move. Time skip. Kurenai and her team was making their way. As she was in the lead point, they were in a V position, with Kiba and Akamaru and Shino on the sides, Hinata at the back. As for Naruto and Haku, they were behind. Hinata was constantly activating her Byakugan, as Naruto had to be tremendously careful. He didn't want to blind her from chakra overload. As he waited until he saw the opportunity as he got closer. Something the matter, Hinata, he asked. No, what makes you think something is the matter, she said. Well, you keep on awakening your Byakugan. So what's wrong, he said. Oh, it's nothing, she said. I just don't want to be caught by surprise, in case we ran into an ambush. There was a small blush growing on her face as she spoke to Naruto. Kurenai had noticed that, and she seemed to be smiling. Kiba, on the other hand, didn't seem to like this one bit. Well, if you say so, said Naruto. But I'm pretty sure that we don't have to worry about that just yet. Tell you what, turn off your Byakugan for a minute, and I'll do a full scan on the area. Hinata slowly nodded as Naruto gathered up his chakra and sent it out in a wide pulse as it spread through the entire area. All clear, said Naruto. Nothing for 100 yards except for a few forest animals. Hinata nodded her head. as she wondered, what do I do now? After 5 minutes, she had gathered enough courage. Naruto, she said. Yeah, he said to her. Well, I want to say thank you for the advice that you gave me back at graduation. It really helped me. As Naruto smiled, don't mention it, and my offer from then still stands, he said to her. If you ever need any help, and it is within my power to do so, I'll do what I can, he said. She nodded. Her face was turning red. Luckily, he was behind her, and he could not see it. Time skip. The meeting with the village mayor had gone off smoothly. The bandits were coming from the east. They have kidnapped a few women from the village, so there would be a hostage situation. As Naruto was a bit worried when he heard that. Usually, in his case, he would have taken out the bandits before they could even realize what was happening. However, this was Team 8 mission, and they will have to be the one to deal with the hostage situation, if it come to that. Team 8 was a really good tracking team, as they were using their individual gifts to study the area and find out how many bandits there were. He just hoped that they could be this calm under pressure as well. As Haku stepped to his side, they seemed to know what they're doing. Naruto smirked while they are a tracking team. Haku noticed that Naruto was glancing over towards the Hyuga. Is there something going on between you and Hinata-san, he asked. Naruto blinked and turned his gaze towards him. What gave you that idea? Well, you get along with her better than almost any other genin. Well, that's not really hard, said Naruto. She was the only one that actually treated me like a human when I was undercover to stake out that traitor Mizuki. Don't get me wrong, Abarame over there never picked on me or anything, but he was still indifferent. But I like Hinata. She's a very nice person, said Naruto. I see, Haku said. But he had noticed something, but it seems that Naruto was not talking about that point. So there's nothing going on between you two whatsoever, he asked. Well, not that I'm aware of, said Naruto. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I know that she has a crush on me, but I don't think I like her that way. Well, I'm not sure, he said. Well, only time will tell, Haku said. I got a scent. That way, Kiba said. As they followed said scent, it was heading straight towards the camp. They came to a stop, around 100 yards away from said camp. Hinata was using her eyes to do reconnaissance. I see the camp. There is 15 bandits. They got their tents in a circle, with a fire in the center. There's a few in the tent sleeping, but most of them are eating right now. There's a cage holding 10 women in the largest tent. The guard is asleep at the moment. Any patrols? Kurenai spoke up. Hinata shook her head. No, that's weird, Naruto said. Either they're confident that no one can find this camp, which is stupid, or perhaps they're just stupid overall. Naruto wondered. Most likely a combination. Alright, Kiba, Shino, I want you two to focus on the bandits, while Hinata release the prisoners. Shino, I'm going to need you to use your insect first, to drain them as much as possible. Have them do it as secretly as possible. The longer they don't know what is going on, the better it is for us. Kiba, 5 minutes after they start, I want you and Akamaru to tear through them with your fang over fang attack. Make sure you get as many as possible in your first sweep. Hinata, after Kiba caused a distraction, I want you to take out the guard and free the prisoners. I'll take them from there. Once they're safe, I want you to go back and give backup to Shino and Kiba. If things get rough, the rest of us will give you a hand with long-range support. Does everyone understand? She asks. All of her genins nod their heads. Time skip. 10 minutes later, Naruto was in the tree watching as Shino bugs silently move across the ground. As they made their way towards each of the tents to do their job, the bandits around the campfire was having a jolly good time as they ate their meals, completely unaware of the threat that was coming their way. However, something was wrong. Naruto did not know what it was, but something was nagging him. There was something wrong. As he reached up to the radio at his ear, Haku, do you copy? There was a pause until, I copied Naruto-san. Is there something wrong? I don't know. I just have this weird feeling that something is wrong. Do you see anything unusual on your end? Naruto asks. Negative. There's nothing on my end. Haku told him. This is Kurenai. I don't see anything unusual on my end either. Keep your eyes open though. I don't want them to be taken by surprise. Understood, Haku said. Roger that, said Naruto. That is when the two spinning gigs burst inside. The bandits got up as they felt lightheaded. Kiba and Akamaru tore right through them. The fight, if you could call it that, was over in minutes. As the bandits were all over the place bleeding out, some of them dead. Kiba was given a first kill talk by Kurenai as the others were cleaning up, as Naruto had sent his clones to help the women back to their village so they wouldn't have to see this. 5 minutes later, they were about to move out until Hinata, whatever you do, don't activate your Byakugan, said Naruto, unless I say otherwise. There was a look on his face. Hinata nodded. Kurenai looked towards him. His eyes kept on moving around. They were moving so fast. That is when he spoke. Who are you? Said Naruto. Laughter could be heard. Huh. You're good. Most people don't sense me until I'm right on top of them. A man, standing around 6 feet 1. He had bright red hair that stopped at his shoulders. He had dark blue eyes. They were darker than Naruto. As he stepped out of the foliage, a typical shinobi uniform with a katana strapped to his back. However, the headband was what threw Naruto off. The headband was a swirling tide. As Naruto looked at him, when I heard the village nearby was having some bandit trouble, I decided to take care of them. However, it seems like Leaf Ninjas have already handled the problem. This must be my lucky day. Since I was able to find you, you were able to sense me. He said, drawing his blade. So, you will be able to give me a good challenge. Usually, my opponents die within seconds of me meeting them. But, whatever. I'll ask it anyway. What's your name? You know it's customary to give your name first when asking for another name, said Naruto. But whatever. You're a big talker, and I don't mind. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Now who the hell are you? The man froze up as he looked at Naruto. Impossible, he said. Uzumaki? But you're just a kid. That's not possible. So that means, was there really other survivors? What are you talking about? Who are you? Said Naruto. You want to know my name? My name is Kuroda Uzumaki. I was an elite jonin of the Hidden Whirlpool Village. You know, it's ironic. I was looking for survivors for so long, but when I finally find one, it turns out that their parents are under the banner of the enemy. Enemy? If you're really at Uzumaki, you should know that the Leaf and Konoha were allies before what happened to them happened. Why would you say that we're enemies? The man started to laugh. However, there was no humor in his laugh. There was actually anger. He then snarled angrily. Allies? Don't make me laugh, he said. That damn village, that good-for-nothing bastard of a village was not our allies. They betrayed us. When we were attacked by the Inner Stone, what did they do? They sent goddammit 2 genuine teams. How would they make a difference in anything that was going on? Let me tell you why. Because they did not care. We weren't worth their time. They sold us out. They left us for dead. You don't understand, said Naruto. They were the only ones close enough to reach them in time. The others behind Naruto were trying to understand what was going on. Hey, if that guy is also Uzumaki, doesn't that mean that he's related to Naruto? The others were just as confused as Kiba asked his question. How the hell would you know that? You're just a kid. You weren't there, Kuroda said. Because I've read the reports of both of my parents, and they said the Leaf was sending backup, but it did not reach there in time. The Hidden Leaf sent 3 platoons. Once they reach and receive the message for help, 3 platoons that could have been used elsewhere at the time. But when they got there, it was too late. The only ones that were left were the teams that was close enough and a few survivors, but their injuries were too much. And on the journey back, they died, said Naruto. They did everything that they could. He spat to the ground with disgust. Your mother, Kushina. That's her name, right? Naruto gave him a look. I see. Of all the people, I can't believe that she would side with the leaf instead of her homeland. He clenched his fists. If that is the case, that Namikaze fellow is your father. What was his name again? Ah, yes. Minato Namikaze. Kurenai's eyes went wide when she heard that. Her eyes widened in shock. The fourth Hokage? My mother chose to remain in the leaf because we were allies. They were still at war with the other nations. A war that ended just 2 months after our village destruction. I find it rather odd that your father Jutsu was able to end that war just after the Whirlpool utter demise. What are you trying to say, said Naruto, that the leaf wanted the Whirlpool to be destroyed? Well, from where I'm standing, an explosion of chakra came from him. It sure looked that way. His hair started to spiral upwards, as everyone felt like they were being hit by waves upon waves. But talking is not gonna get us anywhere. You've decided to stand by the leaf, so you're as much as my enemy as all of them are, he said. And they are as well, he said, looking behind Naruto. A violent explosion of power was released from the blonde. Everyone had to step back. Haku, none of them could stand near him. You won't touch a single one of them, said Naruto. Hinata started to tremble as she dropped down to one knee. What is this sensation, she said. Naruto then vanished. However, Kuroda's arm pulled up the blade and blocked Naruto's strike. He blocked Naruto's kunai. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. Kuroda tried to backhand him, but Naruto vanished and reappeared a distance away. Now it makes sense why my mother was able to keep up with my father when they spar. She must have used the Uzumaki chakra to control her body movements to make them faster, going beyond normal superhuman speed. That's right, Kuroda said with a grin. The only downside is, it takes an extreme amount of focus to manipulate your movements in the right way without harming yourself. Which is why the Uzumakis could use it in battle. We're the only ones that had that insane amount of focus. I have been training and preparing myself for a very long time for this. You will not win, Kuroda said. I see you're using that technique that your father used. But things are different when your opponent is just as fast, isn't it? Well, that's where you're wrong, said Naruto. What I'm doing is 5 times better than what my dad used to do. 5 clones appear beside Naruto as they all vanish. However, Kuroda moved his blade in a speed that the Leaf Ninjas could not keep up with. The clones all poofed away as Naruto was seen next in the tree. They did not even see the crash. Wrapped around Naruto's arm was a strange chain that was multicolored. Hinata rushed forward, but Kurenai grabbed her. No, she said. You'll only get in the way. She tried to get free, but Haku spoke. She's right. They're moving too fast. But I shall help. The place became cold as the mirrors formed. The chain that was on Naruto's hand, he tore to pieces as he got to his feet, his chakra alone ripping it off. Are you alright, Haku asked. I'm fine, said Naruto. He just catch me off guard. I was under the impression that only my mother could do that. Naruto said, 5 years ago you would have been right about that. But I figured out how to do it as well. It wasn't easy, but your mother was a true genius with our bloodline. Good to know, Haku said, sinking into a mirror. Well, that's new, Kuroda said. The images. All of them had bracers on their arms, with many senbons inside. You seem to be able to handle multiple opponents pretty well. Let's see how fast you handle this. However, Kuroda smiled as they all came forward. That is when he did something unusual. The chakra shell around him. It pulled inside and seemed to fuse in his skin. His body then vanished at speeds that shocked even Naruto. As Kuroda was now standing there, he had the barrage of needles in his palm. The rest of them were stopped in mid-air by chakra threads that were coming from his body, which he was able to control, all of them. This wasn't normal in the slightest. Well now, that was interesting. Anyone else would have been a pincushion right now. However, you have no idea how long and hard I've been preparing for pretty much everything to face. And I learned something very good back in the days. Never give your opponent a chance to use your own techniques against you. He threw all the needles up in the air. Threads connected all of them. Naruto vanished as they were fired after him. Haku appeared and grabbed Naruto by the shirt. When he reappeared and pulled him through, the needles assaulted all the mirrors. Naruto looked towards his arm as he pulled one of them out. His chakra. Naruto crushed the needle, is covering them, enhancing their speed as well. I've noticed, Haku said. But how can he move that fast? Even with chakra, that is truly abnormal. It's not like he has the bloodline that you possess. No, he does not, said Naruto. Kuroda shouted out from inside the dome. Your mirrors can't hold me forever, you know that. I can simply wait until you run dry. Because I promise you, in a test of chakra, I will prevail. I have an idea, said Naruto. Haku turned towards him. How long can you keep the mirrors going? 10 minutes. That is if he doesn't continuously attack them. Naruto nodded. You can manipulate the moisture in the air inside the dome, correct? Haku nodded once more. What are you thinking? Naruto held out his hand. We'll freeze him to death, he said. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the what ifs on the other channels. And stay tuned for the rest of them coming your way. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So without further ado, or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right out of here? See you guys soon. Peace, guys.